February 24th, 2019, and we are here with Michelle with Forbidden Information, and tonight's topic is two genders. Is there only two genders? Is there more? Is there less? What it is, what is it, isn't, who is and who is not? And hello, DA, he's in the house. But anyways, that's tonight's subject. Yeah, this thing that's going on, we've talked about it before, but we're going to kind of dig a little deeper tonight and discuss about the culture that is changing, the culture that is being forced upon us, the culture that is against Christianity, is against the founding morals. We've got, here in California, we got some craziness going on with the schools. We've got, the information, or kids are being indoctrinated into the schools. It's pretty crazy when a 5-year-old and 6-year-old in the kindergarten is forced to learn about the genitalia of the different genitalia of men and female.
Yep, absolutely.
Talk right about two genders, and Bruce pops in. Hello, everyone. Right. Are you okay, Bruce? Are you all right, man?
My turtle.
Are you talking in the higher octave? Yes or no?
He says my turtle bit me last night.
But anyways, so that's just today's Common Core. It's when you get in the 5 and 6 year olds and they're having to identify their genitalia, that is not the school's job. That is the job of parents, even though some are falling short on that. This whole tolerance movement, our tolerance movement has become a slippery slope of undermining our morals and our ethics. Exactly, Carol. It's not the responsibility of schools to educate our kids on morals, and
exactly.
It's become sad. These kids are being forced to deny their gender. They're being forced to accept this alternative. Sex is determined by your organs, not by your feelings. Mm-hmm. That's what it comes down to. You got people who dress in the opposite sex and demand that you call them something else. That's not tolerance. It's to force somebody to believe what you believe, and to this is it's actually it's classified as gender dysphoria. It's no different as like an amputee saying they have 2 hands when one of their hands has been cut off for some reason or whatnot. And wow, Common Core was developed in Russia. Wow. Yeah, Common Core, it's a backward. I think they accepted the Common Core to actually dumb down our children. I really do.
I really do. Absolutely. I think it's made them, I don't want to use this word, but less educated, because they're not as thrived about learning as they were without it. Like learning used to be fun and educating and exciting and thriving. Like you look forward to going to school every day, but now it's just like, it's just cross your T's, dot your I's, stick to the books, and that's it. You know what I mean? They don't go above and not beyond learning. They don't take kids on field trips anymore. It's crazy.
In Canada, you can go to jail for 2 years for saying someone's pronouns wrong as well. Wow. That's these laws that they're sneaking through are just crazy. It's crazy. Exactly, Loretta. Grooming and mind control. That's exactly what this is about. It's they're dumbing down the children. The chemicals that they're putting in. The study just came out with that if you had if your kid was brought up in a home with vinyl flooring or flame retardant couches, their blood by toxicology had outstanding numbers for toxins that actually cause brain damage. that, and then you throw that into the mix of everything. Yeah. And then we got this 5G thing coming in, and all the reports. I would, if anybody out there has any information that shows a positive report, I would love to see that. I would love to get, something that shows maybe an opposite viewpoint of that. But all the information I have seen so far is so negative about it. People are complaining about headaches. They're complaining about some of the reports are saying about radiation, how it penetrates actually through the skin. So there's skin issues, skin cancers that are coming with it, eye issues. We don't start attending school board meetings and taking a stand. Yeah, exactly, Loretta. We have to take a stand. This is, I mean, people have become so complacent. I was just over on Tiny Mersato's, cast, and, we're talking about politics and how, politics is continuing to divide us, but it's also, we need to pay attention. We need to know what's going on. But the thing about it is we become so blind and are getting so distracted by what's going on. We're refusing to see, we're not really paying attention to the real stuff that we need to. We got not just only this 2-gender issue, but we also have the Sharia law that they're trying to sneak in. But at the same time, they got the Sharia law going in, they got, anti-Semitism going in. So that is going to cause a huge conflict. They want to bring a mass immigration of Muslims in here and the new anti-Semitism law. That's a recipe for havoc.
Exactly.
If you really think about it, it's a huge recipe for havoc. And so now you got, the Islam versus the Jews, and then you have, we have feminism of feminizing our men. So we don't have protectors anymore. So, I mean, what is this? And then with all this, I feel like I'm taking off of what we were just talking about in Tiny's.
No, it's a good topic. Keep on.
Chat, but it's just this whole identity crisis, this whole pronoun thing. You are what you are. You are what you're born. If you want to be a helicopter, what about somebody? I want to be 72 so I can collect Social Security.
I want to be 20 again.
Yeah, it's just it's an amazing time we're living in, as far as all this activity that's going on to undermine, freedoms, our liberties. Europe, it's like people who wanted to keep this, prevent the wall from going up and stop this, or want to welcome this mass immigration. They need to take a look at Europe. Europe is a mess.
Yes, look what happened. They've allowed them in for the last 2 terms during Obama's years. They were just flooding in and flooding in and flooding in. Look what happened.
Well, because it's a humanitarian effort. We've got to be human. We've got to be Christian. We've got to let them in. We've got to welcome them open arms. No, we don't. That is not about Christianity. Christianity is about protecting the people that you love. Now, exactly. I believe in immigration, but there has to be rules, and there has to be rules to follow to preserve our Christianity, to preserve our morals, to preserve what is right. You have people here that are trying to undermine our country. It becomes a mess. It becomes a big mess. And like with the mass immigration in the Nordic countries, rape went up 1,000%. 1,000.
Wow.
Because in some cultures, from some of the oppressed regions, it's okay. Women are disposable. Women are to be used.
That's just horrible. And to think of women today on the far left are so ungrateful and think that's so bad, and we got so many bad things over here. They have no idea how good they have it here compared to what happens in other countries where women are being raped, gay people are being thrown off buildings, people's heads getting cut off. It's insane, I mean, people in Venezuela are being shot because they're trying to run up to the border because they're starving. I mean, come on now, It's crazy.
Right. Right. The and that's the crazy thing about all of this stuff is like we have to pay attention to what's going on globally. You know, we have to make people aware of what's going on globally. So to pay attention, because there's a movement saying, oh, there's nothing happening, it's all good, it's all good. But you know what, in the UK now, it's mostly, you see mostly, you know, women having to cover themselves, you know, and you have, you know, our new Congress women that have been, you know, sworn in, you know, one's not using a Bible and two others are using a Quran. And this is a book that you know, wants to kill infidels.
Look what she said about Israel and about the Benjamin babies. When she said that, I was floored. I was like, whoa. And she hasn't resigned yet. You know, if you were to say that, and if you were a senator or congressman, they would probably already fire you, Chrissy, or me. You know what I'm saying? She got away with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
in certain countries they cut out women's clitoris, right? And women body parts, am I correct? Like they cut out where they can't have babies in their vagina, right?
Well, they do the genital mutilation, and basically they cut out the clitoris on a little girl who's like 5 or 6 years old, and so that the woman can never enjoy sexual intercourse to keep her pure and whatnot. It's like, and the way they do it is so barbaric. They take a girl and they tie her feet to her hands, and they have somebody like restrain her so she's totally exposed, and they just cut, no anesthetic, no, and then that's it, and then she's in bed for, you know, for however, and it's definitely a sad time, you know, for that little girl. And you know, sex is not a tool. Sex is a bonding experience between a man and a wife.
Well, Houman Ahmadine was calling for it, and that other Muslim woman that's really popular on Twitter, what's her name? I can't think of her name right now. And she was calling for that to happen right here in the United States, and I was like, no friggin' way.
Well, they did arrest that doctor, but she was a female Islam doctor doing the genital mutilation, and I believe she was arrested. I think they were calling for her to be.
That's her name, Linda Sorzer. That's her name. She was all for it.
You know, that's so like hypocritical. We have Linda Soros, or whatever her name is. She's the one who heads up the Women's March. But yet she's for genital mutilation. She's
right
for Islam.
Thank you.
I'm not understanding. Like, how could anybody who knows anything about Islam, you know, and then that's the thing. People like, oh, we need to accept. You need to know what you're accepting. Like, I don't hate Muslims. I hate Islam. Because a lot of Muslims don't even understand what Islam is. They're Muslims out of heritage. They're Muslims out of just culture. They don't absorb the meaning of it. But the thing is that, you know, we have to still give them a message, but we don't have to accept their ways. We don't have to accept their rules. We don't have to accept their laws. They don't want to assimilate, then leave.
Exactly.
Because tribalism is already bad enough. You know, we are not a monolithic society, and you know, we have to be there is no country that has the multiple different religions that live in peace. You know, look in India, for example. You've got Islam. You know, that's the whole thing of Pakistan and India. You know, they had to separate. You know, and now Pakistan Christians, you have to hide. You can't say certain names. You know, if you go, if you're a Christian and you go to Islam school, they beat you. They point you out. They belittle you in the Christian schools, but yet we're supposed to tolerate this type of intolerance? Right. It makes absolutely no sense.
I'm just saying it just doesn't belong here, period. I'm sorry. Absolutely not. And we got to protect our children, especially our young children, you know?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And going back to, you know, the two gender thing, you know, the other thing that we've got going on, we have these mainstream people who seemed, you know, they have this wholesome outlook, and they're not, they have this wholesome outlook like Celine Dion. The symbolism in her clothing line with this gender neutral, you know, meaning is just, it blows my mind.
She lost her mind after her husband died. Like, her husband died, and she just, like, she was just loving, and I used to love her music and follow her, and she was just this loving mom and happy mom, and her and her husband were just like this beautiful couple. And then he died, and then she just, I don't know, Satan got a hold of her or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's that, I think I've become part of, or I have the ideology that's in the Hollywood entertainment industry is extremely corrupt, and it's, you know, they pull you in, they show you something so innocent, and it's like, oh, it's not harmful, but it's got little subliminal messages to normalize certain things. And it progresses. So once that becomes normal, the next step, oh, that's not bad. That's not so bad. That's not so bad. And it just progresses and progresses. Well, now we are like on the downward. It's like the roller coaster. We're at the, you know, we were at the very top. We are spiraling down, and we're spiraling down quickly.
Absolutely.
It's not a American issue. It is a global issue. It is, you know, the times are coming. There's forces globally. We are at war. We're truly, truly at war. And they're not using missiles. They're not using bombs. It is mind control. It's indoctrination. It's chemical. It's, they're doing everything they can to undermine our culture. They're undermine our morality, undermine, you know, the goodness. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna read the chat here.
Okay.
So Loretta, that's torture. Nothing religious is. This is America, a free country, free to destroy and change a common ideology. Yeah, you know, to me, Islam is not a religion; it's an ideology, and it's just nasty. It's just nasty. Literally, info war. Yeah, it is an info war. It totally is. It's an information war, and I think here in our country we are so complacent, and we've become so busy. You know, this indoctrination started. I grew up thinking you slave yourself to get A's. You got to get A's. You got to get A's because you got to get A's because you got to get into a good college. And then when you get into college, you got to get good A's. You got to get A's. You got to do well so you can get a good job.
Yep.
The whole job mentality is a slave mentality. Once you have a job, then you are told where you can live. You are told when you can go to sleep. You're told when you wake up. You're told when you can go to the bathroom. You're told when you can have lunch. And I'm not, and I'm trying to sensationalize it, but if you really think about it, if you got to be at work at 8 o'clock, you got to be at bed at a certain time so you can get enough sleep.
Right.
And so, and the Federal Reserve has put us into debt. Debt enslaves us. Debt keeps us, we have to work hard. You got to work 16-hour days. You got to work 10-hour days. That's not the life we are supposed to work. We were cursed because of Adam and Eve, but we're not to be enslaved. And that's the problem. People don't understand. We have to understand these labels can mislead us. They've turned it, oh, that's enslavement, not this. But if you really look at it, it is. it's it's just it's we have to wake up. We have to, I like what Loretta says. We've got to go to the schools. We've got to stand for our children.
Absolutely.
This indoctrination is just absolutely crazy. The 5 and 6 year olds are supposed to identify their sexual organs. No, that's none of your business to be teaching our kids that. They've got 5th and 6th graders that have to demonstrate how to put on a condom.
Yep.
That is absolutely none of their business.
I know. What happened to speak about abstinence and saving your body for marriage and all that? But no, they don't want to talk about that because you're crazy if you do that.
Oh no, you know what they're talking about? They're talking about how sodomy is the best form of birth control.
Yes,
but they're not talking about how sodomy is actually the easiest way to get STDs.
That's what they're teaching in school, is safe anal sex. And I was like, what the? I was pissed. I was mad.
This is 5th and 6th graders.
Yes. Yes.
And they're referring to parents as they. So if they don't accept you, if they don't do this, if they don't do that, then they're the ones that are wrong. So they're not only teaching our kids what they should be not teaching our kids, they're also teaching our kids that if your parents don't agree with us, they're wrong. And the hard part is they get the kids more of the waking hours than we do.
What's wrong is now made right. Crazy.
Exactly. And that's where that comes down to. And God warned us about that. What's right is wrong and what's wrong is right. And that's exactly where we are at. That's exactly what's going on right now.
Yep.
And why are parents not storming the school? It's like my pastor, Jack Hibbs at Calvary Chapel in Chino Hills, California, he does get politically involved. And we have to stand up for our country. We have to start making some big noise. And it starts at the local level. I'm for Trump. I'm agreeing with Trump with everything that's going on, but he can't fix everything.
No, he can't. That's what these people need to realize who are trying to give up on him right now. It's like he's not God. He can't fix everything. He's going to make mistakes, and people got to realize how many people are after him, even people in the White House.
Yeah, and he needs us as much as we need him. And what we need to do, we need to get in contact. We need to go to town hall meetings. We need to go to board meetings. Even if you don't have kids in school, those kids in your neighborhood are part of your community.
Yep.
And that's the thing that most Republicans are losing sight of. We talk about the wall, like, one of the arguments is, well, we have a homeless society and a VA problem. Why are we not fixing that first? Which is a valid reason. And I'm not downing it. I'm saying we need to do more. But listen, if $100, this is for simple math's sake, say $100 of your tax money goes to the government specifically for homeless people, right?
Right.
How much of that $100 is actually going to go to that homeless person? How much of it is effectively going to make an impact on that homeless person?
Not even
you got to think about that. You got to think about the administrative costs. You got to think about the bureaucracy. You got to think about, all those other costs that are unnecessary. Now, if you were to take that $100 and come in with a small community, how effective does that $100 could be? It could be a lot more effective. Obviously, there's going to be administrative costs. There's going to be some of that stuff. But I know it's going to be a lot more effective and a lot more meaningful to that homeless person than just giving our tax dollars away. Because we obviously, these long-term, career-oriented politicians don't give a darn about the homeless, don't give a darn about our veterans, have not given a darn even about our country. You got Nancy Pelosi, who's been in office since in the 80s. And look at her net worth and how much she makes. How much does a congressperson make a year versus how much she's worth? Now I've heard there's reports she's 30 million. I've heard reports she's over 100 million. And then you look at who they're related to. You got to look at who and what those people do. And then you got to look on the committees that they are. It's really weird when she was on the finance committee and that they were putting laws for credit card regulations and stuff like that, and how her outcome came on that. It's a little suspicious to me.
Yeah.
You know, they talk about the Mueller report coming out here next week. It may or may not come out, but they say, well, if the Mueller report comes out and it's not what they want it to be, can you send the link to Jovi?
How do I do that?
I think I've already added him into there. But anyways, if you look at these career politicians and the communities that they've upheld and how it relates to their family members, you know, you got Maxine Waters. Her husband, who owns a failing bank, is constantly getting bailed out by our money.
Mm-hmm. All right, I got it sent. I got a link here. Okay. That was easy. I'm learning.
Yeah, it's pretty easy when it works.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and Loretta brings up a good El Chapo. You know what? I haven't researched that, but I bet you anything that El Chapo is related or has some type of connection for that amount of money for him to have, they have had to let him come in and out.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Jovi, how's it going?
Evening.
We're talking about two genders.
How many?
Two.
How many?
There's two.
I just can't send one to Chris because I don't know his name thing.
Why? Do you believe there's more than two genders, Joey?
Yes, there's three. There's female, beta male, alpha male.
We're not supposed to talk about. Isn't some of those beta males considered leeches?
They're considered many things. Cocks, I guess you could say.
Yeah, we're talking about. I started ranting and I started going on to about Congress, career politicians, and how they are, corrupt. And they wanted the Mueller report may or may not come out, but if it comes out and there's nothing there, they want to do more investigations. They want to go into Trump's finances. It's like, let's go into the finances of the people who've been in Congress for a long time.
Yes, definitely.
Are you there, Jovi?
Yeah.
Are you in another dilemma? I'm just kidding.
You're trying to fight somebody.
I should tell you about that.
Tell us about. Spill the beans, Jovi.
It was.
Talk about it publicly. I'm here. I'm going to be right next to my fridge getting a drink.
So I'm in the South, and I was staying with a mother and a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And daughter's really cute, but she started talking like at first she was drinking and getting a little like, flirty and tipsy.
Uh-oh.
But then she started talking about Jesus. So I was like, oh, I can't do it. And then I told her too. I told her like what was going through my mind the first night I met her. And I don't know, she didn't really process it, I guess, or whatever.
Ooh, are you convicted? Are you feeling conviction, Joey?
I just feel like I should not try to push up on a girl who, even though she was getting all friendly, started talking about Jesus. Like, it's just one of those things I don't do. Like, I have a lot of rules when it comes to women, One of them is I don't talk to them if they're already drunk. I don't talk to them if I suspect that they're a man. And
Oh my God.
if they start getting religious, I might just not even try. But it was fun. We were talking and everything. We talked a lot, and I was okay with it. I was okay with just conversation, honestly. A little less conversation and a lot more action.
Bruce wants to know what happened to Raggedy Ann.
Oh God, I hate that thing. So her daughter has these Cabbage Patch Kid dolls, right?
Oh, freaky, especially right at night.
I hate those things. They don't blink.
Yeah.
But what's even worse is that the doll, its head, is hard like a rock. So I'm watching the daughter play with the dog, and I see her take the doll and whack the dog right in the head.
Ooh.
And this thing is, I felt so bad for that dog.
Oh.
Little girl, she's like 5 years old, and she starts throwing the Cabbage Patch Kid dolls at me. Like she's like freaking like going crazy, and she starts throwing the Cabbage Patch dolls. So it was so funny. It was like one after the other, and then they're so hard that when she threw them, you could hear it bang into the wall because the head is like made of some hard plastic or rubber. I'm not too sure, but it was hilarious. But yeah, I just didn't really try anything. At first I was, but then yeah, it's it's different when you start talking about Jesus to me. Like my whole thing in my head is not, ooh, I can't wait to grab up on this girl who's talking about Jesus. Like, no, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
As flirty or touchy as it was, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
but it was yeah.
Well, tell us about your speech and how that went. You seem to trigger a bit of people, not to get off subject. Somebody asked what we're talking about today. We're actually talking about two genders today, but Jovi did a phenomenal speech that I think was pretty profound, but at the same time, with politics, you kind of trigger some people.
Very controversial.
Uh-oh, did we lose
you? Yeah, okay. Now I'm here. So that speech I gave, it was addressing grievances, and one of my grievances is the way Christians are treated, but the way they react to it. So either a white Christian male or a white male or a male who's Christian, either one of those groups, and you're basically being pushed around. So every religious group is probably protected more than Christians are. So that bothers me. Mm-hmm. Every group is probably protected. Well, women are definitely protected more than men. Mm-hmm. Men are supposed to defend themselves, of course. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to whites, it's like every race goes against them, and every race is allowed to be proud and have their own identity. But once you're white, you no longer can express yourself freely because it'd be considered racist, which I think is ridiculous. I think it's nonsense.
Even though you're not, quote unquote white, people identify you as a white male. Do you feel like you've been discriminated more in the last 2 years than before?
No, I've always went through this. I used to get in fights with many people, but hold on. Yeah, she had that flag upside down, and I was gonna call her out on it, but I didn't want to do that. Besides, it was a blanket. The rebel flag is definitely something I enjoy carrying because there's no way you can hold it upside down. I love it. It's something about it. It's the whole idea of symmetry. It's really something I'm fascinated by. But yeah, so man, what was the question?
Do you feel like there's been more discrimination against white men in the last 2 years than there was before?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm seeing it more and more today than I've seen it before. I mean, I have a scar across my face because someone thought I was some white supremacist. So, in order to think I'm a white supremacist, first of all, you have to think I'm white. And then you
Hmm.
have to believe that see myself as superior. So, for you to even react in that way, it just shows how far we've taken steps back in society when we do something like that. And yeah, I guess, when whites were stronger, I guess people saw them as the enemy. But now that they're weaker, they're just getting slapped around like it's really bad. And that's why I got involved with the movement because I knew people look at me and they're like, oh, he's white. He's not supposed to talk. So when I start talking or speaking, actually, remember, there's a difference between speaking and talking. So when I start speaking, I notice that many are upset because they don't want to hear this. They don't want to hear someone who's white telling them that they're the problem. You know,
Hmm.
that's something that you never want to hear. Like if a black person says it, that's cool. Yeah, it's black people can tell us what's our problem. Spanish, Asian maybe, but not white. If you're white and you have an opinion, you better keep it to yourself. That was the mindset for a very long time. And then we started realizing it's not really about white. It's more about what's being fed to kids through the educational system, that they hate America, that they hate the founding fathers. But
Hmm.
then the ones that love the founding fathers don't even understand who the founding fathers were, you
That's
know?
right.
No,
And
they don't.
I had to say it.
Well, they don't teach American
I
history anymore. They don't teach American history like we were taught, or when my grandparents were taught. You know.
well, that's the thing. There's this whole idea of revisionism through American history, through global history, where they say that the winners are the ones who write history, but it's more like the ones who can deceive you write history, or we've been deceived by those. Now, I don't want to jump off topic because I definitely do want to talk about um, the two genders and what's going on.
Hmm.
So I will try to, here, I'll just say this. Men today are very weak. It was a few years back that I remember I was on Facebook and I noticed that women were posting more about them hanging out, going places, exploring, partying, just having a great time. And then I would read a man's post, grown man, and he's so depressed and upset and just, bitter. And I have to read this. And I'm just like, why are these men pouring out their feelings on Facebook? And it was
Hmm.
just so pathetic. And all these women are having a great time, you know, and all these men are just pouring out their feelings. And I just thought to myself, there's something going on that men are being emasculated. And I used to think this a long time ago. It was like you meet this guy and you swear he's gay, and then he has a girlfriend, and then you're just like, no way. This
Right.
this doesn't even make any sense, you know? Not all
Yeah,
men are weak.
I agree. Not all men are weak, but there are a majority that more are weak today in today's society.
I think we are
It's
seeing the
not it's not being
demasculation of men.
physically
I mean, I'm
weak.
not saying all
It's
men.
being Look, if men were strong today, then they wouldn't fall into this whole thing about women being what's it called it? Women need to be protected, especially something. Not one guy I know that won't defend a girl on social media. I cannot stand that. I understand if, you have a friend that's a female, which is
Hmm.
weird because I always thought like, guys who have friends that are female are gay. I used to say that, you know. And it kind of worked because I would say that to a girl, like, no, I'm not gay. I just can't be your friend. Like, you're too attractive for me to just be your friend. I must be stupid if I'm just going to be your friend. And that's how I feel, you know? Like, yeah, I'll have a friend that's a female, but if I'm attracted to you, it's not going to be very easy to even have a conversation with you. Or I'm just not the type of person to even allow it. Like, I'm not gonna allow a friendship with a girl who's attractive unless, you know, we, how can I say, we find each other attractive or something of the sort. Like, guys today, they're so, I don't know, they always want to make it seem like women need to be right, women need to be taken care of, women need to be respected. I don't respect women. I respect ladies. The women out there that are rude and nasty and, you know, itch bay,
Mm-hmm.
I don't bother with them. And
Right.
if I'm disrespectful to you, it's because you're disrespectful to me. You
Right.
know, it's a guy's job to protect the woman, but it's more of a guy's job to protect his woman, not a woman.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If I remember this guy, he saw these two girls getting attacked by some guy, and he walked in front of the guy that was attacking them, and he said, "You're gonna have to go through me." That guy took his head and smashed it against a curb. Right? He didn't know
Wow.
what he signed up for. Those girls didn't care. You know, they they just didn't care. Like, women today, you can defend them all you want, but they're not gonna care. You know, a woman cares more when a guy's actually himself, not trying to be some white knight. And that's the problem with our society today. That, yeah, you want to say we have two genders, but men are not acting like men. I remember being in an event, and then some girl takes my glasses because I'm a Trump supporter. So she grabs my glasses and throws them.
Really?
I yelled at this woman. I
Wow.
yelled at her. I told her, don't ever touch me. Don't ever think you can touch me. You have to understand something. My dad told me this when I was younger. Once a woman lays her hands on you, she loses all respect for you, right? So when she did that, clearly she lost respect for me. So I do the same. I'm not going to treat you like, you're a delicate little flower. No, I'm going to make you cry. I'm going to make you cry at words, of course. I'm not going to like put my hands on you. I don't need to do that. I don't need to put my hands on anybody, you
Mm-hmm.
know, unless they put their hands on me. But when it comes to women, you do your best to restrain them,
Yeah.
just don't hurt them. Like,
Exactly.
you don't punch them, or like, I made a joke, and
No,
you
don't
want to hear this
praise
joke? This is funny.
around. Just putting a joke out
No, hold on. This is something so, like, my mother told me as a young kid to never ever lay your hands on a woman. So all I do is kick them.
Bad one. Wah, wah, wah.
Jovi, I love you. You're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, I
Am I
think
pouring my heart out like a sissy guy? I'm not
no.
pouring my heart out. What are you talking about?
Well,
I'm
I
talking about
think
guys pouring their hearts out. Like, guys are so sensitive today. Like, I don't need to be sensitive. Like, I just don't have time for that. I speak to women the way I want to speak to women, not because they need to be treated with respect. Like, Chrissy, I treat you with respect. You haven't disrespected me. Michelle, you haven't disrespected me. Neither have I disrespected you. You understand? It has to be a mutual understanding here. But there's women out there who don't deserve not 1 ounce of respect, and they still get it because there's guys out there that are so weak that they want to treat all women with respect. If you're treating every woman with respect, then respect means nothing. You
mm-hmm.
get what I'm saying?
Right.
It's the ladies that deserve the gentlemen,
Mm-hmm.
and then the B's deserve the A's, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. No, and I think that's the thing is the key word is respect. This mentality, I won't bring it up, but it's that a woman is
not given. Yep.
right. A woman is supposed to take,
Yep.
A tough woman is supposed to be tough, but then you get upset when a woman's independent. Like, I'm not understanding, some of that stuff is like men don't want to take on responsibility too. And I've seen that. And a lot of that's come on the feminism movement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's part of part of the puzzle, part of the destruction of demasculating men.
It's emasculating, not demasculating. Emasculating is to remove, like, because there's no such thing as demasculating. It's emasculating.
Yeah. Well, and
sorry, I'm not trying to be a grammar Nazi or anything, or I'm not trying to correct you in what you're saying. I'm just want you to know that that's the way it is. I thought there was a word called demasculate, but I never heard it before, so I went to go look it up, and yeah, it doesn't exist.
That's emasculating.
No, yeah, emasculating. You have to use the word properly because it's very important right now. What's going on? Like,
well, thank you for the grammar lesson.
You see, you can correct the women, guys. You're not gonna get chewed out. No, but I'll tell you one thing though. When it comes to how men are today, they're very weak. You see it all the time. I have grown men grabbing their girls' phones and removing my number. Grown men blocking me on their girls' social media accounts. Grown men just calling me to hang up. Like, it's so weird. It's strange. And these are men that are supposed to be like, quote unquote, conservative or right winger. Look, every man has to understand this right now. You are not a victim, nor can you ever be the victim. Why? Because women look to us for protection. But the women in your life, of course, you're not going to be able to protect every woman out there. There's a man for every woman, I'm pretty sure. Mm-hmm. Even the really hideous ones, So it's just like, you just got to be honest, guys. Stop pussyfooting around women.
Well, I think, and I have to disagree with you about the knight in shining armor. I think women are looking for a knight in shining armor. Mm-hmm. And what a knight in shining armor, I think, is different to every woman, and the expectations are different to every woman. But I think the problem is that people with the internet and all that kind of stuff, the expectations are so high. And, if you don't like a person because they have a weird twitch when they eat, you dump them and you go somewhere else, and
well, the problem with knight in shining armor is you want a knight who's already armored, who's already wearing his, his gear, basically saying like, this guy's going to go through hell, like he's going to have to fight off dragons. So you want the knight with the shining armor. You don't want the guy that's in the shining armor. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want protection. You want security.
Mm-hmm. It's like
spiritual too is important to me. He must love God more than himself. I mean, I do not want an ignorant man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you know what it is? It's like, when it comes to, being religious or even spiritual, and you want to be with a woman, I'm pretty sure she wants you to also be physical. Like, yeah, be one with God, but you still have to please me, Like, I'm pretty sure that interferes with it. It's like, how can I say it? Like, the idea of being spiritual completely goes against being physical, but yet you want both. And women are like that. They want the cake and eat it too. They did it with the 19th Amendment. And that's what happened. Women were supposed to be drafted in if they want to vote, but they didn't want to do that. And bucket duty too, if you know what bucket duty is.
What is bucket duty?
And they didn't want it. I believe, I thought bucket duty was something like to do with the sewage system, because they didn't have it at one time. but it actually has to do with being firemen.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So thank God it's not sewage, but yeah. So bucket duty is one of the requirements to vote and to being what's call it liable for a draft. So that's what a man did when he voted. But women didn't want that. Women wanted to vote, but they didn't want to do what men had to do. So here we go. First wave of feminism still involved women trying to have the cake and eat it too. And men have always been complacent to this.
Mm-hmm.
Today we have so many men.
Oh yeah, I mean I've seen it like growing up, being around the fire department and police department. I see these women, who probably weigh $105 sopping wet, being firemen, but yet they expect the men in the fire department to do the heavy lifting. So like if you work a shift with this particular woman, your duty's double because of she's incapable, and I don't think it's there's a biological difference between men and women.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
And I'm not saying that all women can't do it. Even when I'm at the weight I like, I'm still a big woman. I'm very strong,
Mm-hmm.
I'm capable of doing some things that some smaller men can't, but I mean, as a general, men are just stronger. And, I think there has to be physical if you have two people, this is what really upset me is with this affirmative action. If there was a white man who had physical capabilities that were beyond a female, and even though she was in a lower rank, she got hired just over the man just because of the fact that she's a female.
Mm-hmm.
So not only, is it just you're putting people at risk, you're putting that, her partner's, life at risk, you're putting anybody that she has to go to a call to at risk just because of affirmative action. I mean, to me, that's backward racism, or no, it's not backwards. It's just racism and sexism.
I hate using these isms. They're so it's leftist terminology. See, what we have to come into realization with is that we are not the same, men and women. That's not sexist. That's biology. That's right there in front of you. It lets you know. Women are not going to be physically stronger, but that's okay. I mean, yeah, women talk about childbirth, and that's something that they want to do at times. Men don't want to get kicked in the testicles. That's one of the most painful things a man can feel. One of the most painful things a man feels travels.
If you men gave birth,
have you ever felt pain that traveled? It goes from there to your stomach, and it hurts. It's like your lower abdomen. It's one of the most painful things, right? But that's fine. Women can have childbirth. But what happens? All these so-called feminists, they're telling men that they can identify as women. And the whole idea behind this is to have less men who are willing to fight to protect their countries. It's all an attack against nationalism. These men who want to fight for their country will be emasculated. Their testicles will be in a jar hung on Christmas Eve by their feminist girlfriend. It'll be an ornament. They will no longer have it. They will no longer need it.
Well, yeah, they're trying to. There's experiments where they're trying to place a uterus and ovaries inside of a man so he can be pregnant.
Kill me now.
I could never imagine. And as being a nurse, women and men handle pain different.
Absolutely.
Sorry, but you guys are the biggest babies.
I'm pretty sure Michael Obama was better than her husband. I like that.
Yeah, Michael is definitely stronger than Barry. That's for sure.
I saw that. That was funny.
Michael.
I mean, okay. What the wait? So you think women can handle pain more than men?
No, I say I'm weaker when it comes to pain. I think men have a higher tolerance for pain. You think not? I'm wrong.
It's funny. No, I think like you get these big burly buff men, and you know, when they're out doing whatever they're doing, they you know, like, oh, it's just a skin wound, but when it's behind the doors, they're the little snivelly.
You're actually right. When my husband gets the flu, he's like, I'm dying. I'm literally dying. Like, oh,
True.
please.
That is true.
Yeah, it's
well,
like because I used to do for fun, like just for extra money on the side. I used to go to different like sites and get the flu shots and stuff like that. And the big construction sites were the biggest babies. And it was fun. It was funny. I always carried like princess Band-Aids in my lab coat, and I would give them the princess Band-Aids. Especially if there's funny. Like a bunch of them and they're all harassing each other. Yeah, princess Band-Aids.
That's funny. But I'll tell you one thing though, like when it comes to like you have like the biggest man and he'll be afraid of spiders or fly. Like my brother, he's like a bodybuilder. He's huge. And what's it called? A fly or a moth flies near him and he's ready to like run away or like try to kill it. Like I'm just looking at it flying around like a moth, a regular moth just flying around. And he's ready to like attack or get rid of it. I was just like, relax, you know, like you're like 200 and something, you know, you can probably knock someone out with one punch and you're scared of this little moth.
Yeah, it's well, and I think the other cheese to me, like the part of the masculinity about being a knight in shining armor and stuff like that is like the responsibilities of a man when you have a family. You know, there is a gentleness that you need to show, you know, your daughter, your wife. There is a, you know, not just being gentle, but it's that strength. It's to be able to, you know, they talk about, you know, the I hate to bring up the subject for you, but toxic masculinity, but that it's showing that restraint, being able to control that and be able to, you know, and show that your daughter that you care about her feelings, you care about this, and you can do that and still protect her and still be the provider and still, you know, if the parents don't get along, you know, it's a strength from the husband to say, you know, try to make things work, you know, and I'm not saying that's all a man's fault. I'm just saying that, you know, I believe the leader of the house should be a man.
Yep. The Bible says it's God, the headship of the household, your husband, your wife, then your children. I mean, that's just how it is, you know? You tell that to people and they look at you like you're crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I meet women that talk about, oh, I can't wait to get married. He's going to be the head of the household. I'm going to be at home cooking. Doesn't know how to cook. Probably can't even boil macaroni or whatever. And, you know, they just have all these ideas of being a traditional housewife.
That's what I am.
But they don't want to learn how to cook. They don't want to, you know, they want to find a babysitter or something. I'm just looking at it like, you know, you say you want to do it, but you really don't. And what women need to understand is the more kids you have, the less work you're going to have outside of home. Like, you're not going to have a career anymore. But the more kids you have, the more a man works. My parents had 5 kids. My dad was barely home. And when he was home, he was still working around the house, maintaining.
Absolutely.
So, you know,
well, I do believe stuff. There is an unrealistic expectation sometimes. I know of this one particular woman. She's a housewife, and she has a husband who is a very wonderful provider for her, and she's never happy. You know, she complains about taking her kids back and forth to school. She complains about having to cook. And I was just like, it was so hard for me to bite my tongue, because I was like, do you know what I would give up to be able to be in your position? Like, you're watching my son. I see my son late at night and I barely see him in the morning. I would, if that was, you know, I would, if that was my duty, was just to drive him back and forth and to cook and clean, I would just be like, oh my gosh. You know, not that there's difficulties in a marriage or whatnot, but you know, it's working through that and building. Every time the difficulties comes, it's having the, you know, the key point going back is that respect. That respect, and respect to me is honesty, love, forgiveness, kindness, and being able to discuss.
Amen. It's very important.
Well, it's like people keep thinking that Ivanka Trump should be president one day.
No, absolutely not. No way.
And I'm saying, nope. Hell no.
No.
Because as much...
She's beautiful and smart and educated, don't get me wrong, but I just feel that's not a job for her, you know? I think she's doing right where she's at. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Are you there, Jovi?
Uh-oh.
Can't hear you.
Jovi?
We lost him.
Maybe the Raggedy Ann got him.
Hillary found him, choking him out. She's trying to break the glass ceiling with Jovi right now.
He fell asleep. Damn, I know people who could fall asleep just like that, just on cue. Just...
How does that happen? I wish I had that ability. Makes me feel no idea.
You there, Jovi?
Oh, maybe he has some technical difficulties. You know, our other people aren't on tonight that said
I know. I said, Father, I said, wake up, Father. Nick, I said, where are you at? Last time he messaged me was an hour ago, and Nacho, he's just, I don't know.
I wonder if there's, Does everybody, we got 13 in here right now.
Yeah. I mean, everything's connected fine.
Well, I was having technical difficulties before too. It was like unusual. So I don't know. But like I said, I downloaded a new program so I can play videos and you guys can hear it at the same time.
Cool.
So I think Douche is here. Douche, and I love Raggedy Ann got him for messing with Raggedy Ann. Oh, he jumped off. That's funny.
He probably had a bad connection.
Oh, thanks, Loretta. Nice from Pakistan. Oh, wow. Somebody just sent me a text. Nice from Pakistan. Huh. DA said, I sent a message to Nacho that his show is starting without him. DA, that message you sent me, yeah, you need to redo that again. I don't know what happened.
Wake up! What are you people doing tonight?
Oh, there's Joey. Joey's back. But yeah. So we were talking bad about you while you were gone.
Yeah. We were talking about
No, just joking, Joey. We wouldn't do that.
No, we wouldn't.
That's funny. Johnny, you want to jump on? I want to hear your perspective.
I would love to hear his perspective.
Johnny has come to my rescue, and he He's a great guy.
What happened? I don't know. He keeps losing his connection.
Huh.
I'm telling you, man.
Yeah, because all the people that are supposed to be on tonight usually would give a notice or something, or hey, I'm busy or something. They wouldn't not hey. Yeah, what's your perspective, Johnny? Send me your email.
Yeah, because if you send a link on the chat thing, it never works. You know what I mean? Because most people are using their phones.
Let me see. I don't want to send it on the chat anyways because of trolls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he knows how to get a hold of me.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, Loretta. I really, really appreciate that. That's awesome. Yeah, if you guys can share this, is really great. I've had the channel for a while, but I've been on others people most of the time, and it's just time for me to go on my own. And yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. It's just, we're just living in an age right now that's just so crazy, and it's just so.
You're right.
We've got to get back to basics. We got to get back to things have become so complicated that we have to simplify them. And
you there? Hello?
I'm here.
Okay, you froze for a second.
So we have to get back to basics. And it's basically about being God-fearing, God-loving, and stop this silliness. It's we got to get back to basics. And that's what it comes down to.
I agree totally. But we absolutely, like Loretta was saying, that we have to go down to our schools, go in front of the school board, go to our village board meetings, and just, even try to get on the school board.
Yeah.
Like Franklin Graham says, we need more spiritual and godly people running for office.
We do. And, we have to, this whole it's a demonic movement that's going on that's corrupting our kids. This is, you talk about, not just, it wasn't that long ago that the Archibald was going around the Federal Reserve, New York, and all those, all that stuff again. And, now all of these new bills are going in, were infanticide, all that arch was about sacrificing children. That was about the atonement before you went and sacrificed your children. And these children were being born out of, wedlock, where they were being created out of, fornication and all that kind of stuff. So they would sacrifice these kids for fertility, for riches. It's just, and it's no different from today. The late term abortion, those kids are being burnt to death. It's painful. Could you imagine being slowly burnt from the inside out? It
makes me sick to my stomach and so angry.
Yeah. And
I speak to the Lord all the time about it and just say, oh, Jesus, please. Either you have to return soon, or we need a big wake up call. But these people in America need to wake up and realize what's going on.
Yeah.
Spiritual battle, absolutely. And Barack Obama divided our America. I mean, I know it was kind of divided before him, but he really put a nail in the coffin on that one. He just split it right down. You had your Christians, your evangelicals, and whatever religion you were, compared to the people who just hate us, and hate police officers and have this agenda,
Well, it's the lawlessness.
Absolutely.
That, that's going on right now. And, I was at a nonprofit art gallery giving, I was at a gallery and they're supposed to be all inclusive. And so they kind of, you know, there's a lot more progressive, a lot more left-wing people there. And so they give them a platform to speak or whatever for anybody. So there was this platform, and it was called the Hillbilly Militia. And this Hillbilly Militia was talking to, basically was an anti-military, anti-cop, anti-fireman. And the language that they were using, now I teach ceramics, so the ceramics part is in a different part, obviously, of the gallery, but my kids could hear what was being said. And it would just blew my mind away that these kids would, you know, are hearing this. And then so I went to the president of the art gallery, and I'm like, first of all, I said, I know about inclusivity. I know there's a lot of people here don't agree with the way I think, but, you know, it's freedom. You know, it's as long as there's the freedom, I don't mind. I said, but if you're going to allow stuff like this here, that's exclusive. You're making this an exclusive place when you have people here talking about my family, my people that I love, and they're, no, you know, first of all, I have to already deal with a lot of people here who hate my president, but now you're talking about, this is ridiculous. So it just blew my, and he goes, no, he goes, they came in under the radar, they misled us. And so I was like, okay, all right. So I was cool. And the guy, the accountant goes, why don't you say something? So I did. And you know, this militia, they were saying that they were comparing cops to ISIS. Can you believe that? I was like, are you kidding me?
And Camille Harris compared to ICE agents compared to KKK. And I'm like, are you freaking serious? These people go in and they take these scumbags who are sleeping with children, these sex trafficking people, and they go in these houses and they rescue these children that are locked up in these homes who don't even get fed food and just get stuffed drugs, and they're forced to have sex. That's what they do. They get the bad people off the streets. They don't go in some grocery store and bother some illegal that's been here for 10 years and just sweep them into the car and just take them away. They're not doing that, but that's what they're saying they're doing. They're just trying to get the bad people off the, you know?
Yeah. And I know, you like, I would like to say all my family members were, you know, stellar, you know, servicemen or service, you know, civil servants, but no, they not. And I understand that. I understand there's corruption. I understand that there's, you know, some ugliness in their society, but to clump them as a whole and to compare them to ISIS was just absolutely ridiculous, especially knowing what I've known and seen what I've seen. It's like, you go to the Middle East, go to the Middle East and try to even say something like that about ISIS. Go ahead, try it, see what happens to you. Because you know what, my family members, even though if they heard you speak like that about them and you were in danger, guess what? They would still put their life at risk for you, for your freedom, for your safety, because that's how they are. That is complete and totally opposite of ISIS. It's ridiculous.
That's right.
Yeah. It's a sad time. It's a sad situation. You know, when we have grown people that don't have the capability to use logic to come to these types of resolutions or these types of thoughts. And then they're trying to promote it. It just blows my mind.
Yeah.
And they're able to get other people to think this way. It just blows my mind.
Especially Hollywood.
Yeah. So these guys, this hillbilly militia is what they call themselves. You know, they are for the Second Amendment. So they're teaching people training them how to shoot guns and stuff like that, and how to shoot, you know, and their target is cops and firemen. So like they go to rallies and they try to intervene with the cops and the firemen.
Yep. It's crazy.
It's a crazy time.
It's like, you actors tonight, there was police everywhere. There was police present everywhere. Even though you hate these police, they were still there protecting your asses tonight, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even watch the Oscars. And many people are not even watching the Oscars.
Well, how come there's fences around the Oscars and all that stuff there?
Protecting them. Exactly. Thank you. And security, armed guards, and
That's immoral.
Yeah. Immoral, right?
But anyways, it sounds like there's something going on technologically, and so I think I'm gonna cut this one short tonight.
Okay.
But anyways, thanks you guys for listening. Thanks for coming on. We've got some things coming up. We got some people coming aboard. We got some changes going on. I'm excited to see what's going on next, and I'll be sharing them as they develop. But anyways, I love you all, and have a good night, and we'll see you later. Bye.